That's fine.
What are you gonna be doing?
Yeah.
See what she thinks.
Don't know. It's probably up to Mark Nestor now.
Good morning, welcome to the Daviess County Council meeting of May 8th, 2024. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah, we'll see.
Let the record show that we have everyone in attendance of the County Council. First order of business is the meeting minutes from 4/10 of 24. They're in your packet.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carried. Okay. All right, the second order of business we have is the Wage and Compensation Committee recommendation for 2024. Everybody has a copy of that. I'm just gonna kind of briefly touch some things on it that we reviewed, and then we're gonna ask for comments, and then we'll try to get approval. Okay, so we had several meetings, 4 in total, 2 of them with the elected officials and department heads to get input. We looked at local economic factors. You can see our receipts on there have been up, and the trend has been up, so we're favorable there. We're in pretty good shape right now on cash reserves, but we all know that we have several projects looming out there that are gonna stretch us a little bit. Maximum levy for this year's, for 2025 budget season, maximum levy growth quotient is projected to be at 4%. You can see where we're at on payroll right there for the last 4 years. Somebody did have a question on the average mean full-time salary. We didn't have time to work on that yesterday because that was, courthouse was down, so that number may not be correct. I'm not certain about it. We're gonna do a little more deep dive into that. We looked at federal economic factors over the last 5 years too. We looked at the federal income increase, COLA, consumer price index. All those you could see kind of peaked in 23 with the exception of the federal government increase, and have been down in 24 and are projected to be down again in 25. You can see the wage increase in cost of the county based on $9.8 million. Basically at 3%, it's gonna cost $300,000, at 3.5%, about $350,000, and a 4% increase in compensation would cost us about $400,000. Any questions so far?
Without benefits.
That's correct. That's just salary. All right, so the recommendation of the committee is that we go with a 4% wage increase for full-time employees, part-time non-seasonal employees, and elected officials. The wage rate for part-time employees would go to $17.50, which is a 4% increase. Part-time seasonal employee rate would go to $14, which is a 4% increase. And employee compensation for 2025 in excess of the 4%, so adjustments that we made total $27,100. And you can see those adjustments on the 3rd page there. They include $8,500 extra for the sheriff's department, prosecutor and child support area, $8,600, clerk salary, $1,000, and the circuit and superior court, $9,000.
Don, we've got, it seems like the last 2 or 3 years, we've got areas where we're bumping up salaries in areas above and beyond whatever the percentage rate's going to be. Are we getting close to getting people there? Are we gonna continue here to have these special bump ups
To answer your question, no, we're not. We actually lost a little bit of ground. We're using the 2023 AIC handbook still. We don't have the 24 one yet, so but we did a deep dive into that thing. We looked at every elected position. We did look at all the deputies, the sheriff's department quite extensively, the reporters, and we have not really gained ground on that. We're barely holding our own, I think, in most areas. Probably the most out of whack area really is the road deputies. I mean, those guys, even though we've been aggressive in trying to do what we're doing with their pay, are still almost $5,000 behind, based on that 23 data. I think, Darren, when you look at the counties below us, I think we're probably a little more than competitive, but all the counties our size and above are a little bit tougher for us to compete against. That's in population. I think that's also the reason that we went in with an open mind, I know we did actually, anywhere from 3 to 4%. When we got done looking at the numbers, we all agreed that we had to do 4% just to be competitive, to attract and retain our associates.
I do think, Darren, going forth, because of the private sector, we're always gonna have issues. And we only have so much of money that we can deal with every year, so each year it'll be trying to take specific groups and trying to get them to that point. So I think there's gonna be adjustments. There's just gonna have to be a deep dive, like Tom said, every year, and just to see what our capacity is, and then how we can break that down and move those people. So it's been logged, and you can see, who's moving what, and so I think it's gonna be a continual thing, just because of the discrepancy between private sector.
Well, I'm gonna put my taxpayer hat on, and, our assessments on farm ground this year are up 20%. I know doesn't mean they're gonna be up
Yeah.
20%, but, taxes are trending higher, and, I wanna be, respectful to all the taxpayers, and, I appreciate all the work you've done. I mean, you guys have done a fantastic job. It takes time, takes energy to explore all this and come up with these scenarios, but, and I agree with the fact that we have to look at, different areas and treat them differently at times, because sometimes we get out of, sync with what's going on. But, this particular year, I'm just not totally in favor of a 4% raise. We've made some nice adjustments the last couple of years, and, with respect to our taxpayers, I would like to see that number maybe just a little less. I've been hit up, I don't know how many times, about the assessments that came out and how they've gone up pretty dramatically.
Everybody's had that call.
But Mike, just to make the comment that based off of what the state is allowing us to grow our levy, the AVs, all it does is adjust the rate of which our county rate is. That doesn't fluctuate, so our rate will go down with our AVs going up. And as a taxpayer, you want your AVs to go up. That means your property is worth more, but it's
only
the
worth
teeter
more than
totter.
sell it.
But whether or not the AV is up or down, it's just going to fluctuate our rate.
I get that.
I tend to agree with what you've said, but if our road deputies who are at their riskiest
Right.
are still $5,000 down, and we have a problem in retaining them, they're 17, I don't know that we don't look at that a little more.
And I agree with that.
You know, they're behind you with your lights on, you're upset, but if you dial 911, you expect them there quickly.
Right.
Well, and as everybody knows, the purpose of the committee is a general.
Yeah, I understand. This is
First-
all just talk. I'm just
That's it.
saying that's another thing we need to look into.
As we go forward into budget season, adjustments can be made.
I do know in talking to, you know, county employees and department heads here this year, that's all I hear. We're not competitive, our wages are not competitive with what they can get in the private sector, and we're kind of damned if we do, damned if we don't. There's been a couple of instances in the last few years where we really gave a big bump to a position in an effort to try to keep somebody, and in both cases, they left anyway. So, you know, I'm comfortable with doing this. I'd rather do that and try and keep people, but it may not be enough. At some point, we just can't, we're not a for-profit private business, you know. We've only got one way to raise revenue, and that's to raise taxes, and then, you know, we have these things called elections, and that typically doesn't play well in an election, so.
Good point.
The reality is that if you decide to work for the government, no matter what level, you gotta understand you're never gonna compete with the private sector. I mean, that's just a reality.
It's a given.
Well, I think our goal is obviously we want to be competitive in all the counties. One thing we can do, on the commissioner side and the auditor side, is on the benefits. Salaries extremely ocean, but we gotta factor in benefits. PTO, insurance, Maryland, this first space, costs that people, sometimes competitors offer higher salaries, but then they take it back in premium. So I'd like to see it get to a point where we can show them the entire, here's your salary and benefits, not just slice it. And we're gonna spend $3 million on health insurance-ish. If I had to guess the number.
That's a good point. Marilyn actually brought that up in our meetings too. Then it's like, you know, do your employees actually understand what they're getting for that? So, yeah, good point.
A lot of employers will give them a sheet with their W-2 that has everything laid out. And sometimes that's helpful because we forget what that is.
Right.
We do.
Yeah.
Big deal.
And in the private sector, there's, depending on the size of the company or the business that you work for, you may not have a retirement plan, anything close to what we've got here. And again, we kind of take for granted what we do have sometimes and don't realize in the big picture. Because I know several people that work in the smaller businesses and can't afford to offer retirement and insurance the way typical. And so actually, you know, on the other side of working for the government, there are benefits, the other fringe benefits that we kind of take for granted sometimes that are typically better than some private industry.
This was my first time serving on the wage committee, and if we could, we would give everyone what they deserve, right? But we're just limited on what we can do. So trying to pick certain departments and bring them up, that was our goal, is each year to review certain ones, because we can't do them all at once.
Fun though, wasn't it?
It's a lot of fun, yes.
And the department heads were good to work with.
They were very good.
Very, very good.
Yes.
I have no complaints on that.
It's gonna be taken under advisement and move on.
Well, here's the problem. It makes the budgeting a lot, we can still make changes, there's no problem with that, but it makes the budgeting a lot easier if we set a direction for the department heads right now, so that they're doing their budgets with a plan in mind. Not that we can't change it when they come in to meet with us, but I think we probably need to, and I think you probably agree with that, Jen, we probably need to give them a little bit more direction today than just
When do they have to have theirs in by?
End of June.
1 June or end of June?
end of June.
Okay.
Mhm.
I've already talked to one department head this week who asked me if the wage committee had made its recommendation, if the council had approved anything, because she wants to start work on her budget. And I think typically in the past, we've made this decision, albeit the fact we could always change it under oath if something happens, but we made this at the May meeting.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I just wanna reiterate too, what Mike brought up too. I mean, been on here 2.5 years or whatever now, and again, definitely got some feedback this year. But more so than ever, and even just hearing comments, about tax bills, you know, it's definitely concerning. I mean, we gotta do all we can to keep them down.
You know, Tom, my thought, and I'll get the eggs thrown at me first, but, you know, the special raises that you gave, I'm okay with all that, but the percentage raise, I was leaning more toward the 3% for a raise across the board this year than 4%. That's,
That motion?
well, I'd like to hear what you all think.
Well, you know how three of us feel.
Huh?
You know how three of us feel.
Yeah.
I mean, we're the ones that put it together.
I
So
think
if
it's
you did-
open for discussion, absolutely. When I first came into it, it was, yeah, it was at 3.5 to 4. I think I was in that range.
So say if you even change it to 3 or 3.5, whatever, I mean, so I assume that would then have a direct impact on what you did here?
Every 0.5%'s about
With-
$50,000.
I mean, with respect to the special ones, you would probably wanna increase those even if,
No, not necessarily.
oh, not necessarily? Okay.
I think we could probably leave those go, I think, and the special, that,
And I'm pleased, that's no disrespect to the employees, but there's a lot on the plate that needs to be done in the county. And, with respect to the taxpayers, I'm trying to balance this thing a little more. But I'll make that motion. We go with the recommendations, with the only change at 3% instead of 4%.
okay, motion by Mike Sprinkle to have a 3% general increase plus the additionals.
Do you split the difference?
Hmm?
Do you split the difference?
On,
3.5%
3.5.
versus,
50 grand every, as Tom said, it's 50 grand every 0.5%. Plus benefits. Is it, just a question.
he's asking if you want to change it, if you would be willing to consider changing it to 3.5, your motion to 3.5% plus the addition.
okay, my motion was at 3.
Yeah.
Yep,
Let's see if we get a second on that.
okay. Okay, the motion is for a 3% general increase plus the extras. Is there a second? Okay, there's no second. You want to withdraw that motion and modify it, or someone else want to make a motion?
I'll let somebody else
Okay,
get eggs thrown at them.
You know, Mike, I mean, you're doing what you need to be doing. There's no eggs to be thrown. I mean, you're looking out for people. There's different demographics of people looking for things, you know,
Sure.
so,
We're a very diverse county.
absolutely.
Crickets?
I entertain a motion to make a recommendation for wages.
I'll make a motion then for 3.5.
Okay, motion by Darren Holder, 3.5% general increase plus the extras, recommended by the Wage Committee. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded by Mike Sprinkle. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? It carries 4-3. Wow, that took a while.
You know, the good thing was it's good discussion, and it's always welcome, so no, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I do appreciate everything the wage committee puts into it.
Yeah.
I know it's grown into a lot more than it was when it, first started. You basically met once, picked a figure, and that was it. And now you're meeting with people. And,
Yeah, it's not like you just have a 2-hour meeting and it's over.
oh, no, I know. I appreciate everything you guys did.
Okay, great. Let's move on. How about the old salt building? Hopefully that'll be less controversial. Mr. Schwarzer-Truber?
There's no controversy. That's it.
Okay, this has been talked about a lot. You've got a joint resolution in front of you, and I don't know if you want to wait for the commissioners to also talk about it at the same time. The joint resolution, commissioners have had it on their agenda a handful of times. Council's had it a couple of times. Today is the date to receive any additional bids. I believe we have one additional bid since we advertised the last time. So, and that's been sent out. It's not like it's a sealed bid process. We sent it out to the commissioners and they know that amount. And I think you all know the amount as well. We finally met that minimal amount. We also advertised for a public hearing, which I believe is on the commissioner's agenda, and that's a requirement under the statute. You all want to talk about it right now? Do you want to wait for the commissioners to talk about it collectively?
Get it over with.
I would say we can say our portion of it and let's move forward.
So this will be subject to their approval and after the public hearing, but see your joint resolution, if you've got that in your packet, under Indiana Code 36-1-11-3, County Council approves the sale of the subject real estate. So in the joint resolution, we talk about the process that we followed, the advertising, the midpoint of 2 appraisals at $95,000, that we have a single high bid. Is that correct, Jen? $95,000.
Okay, it does meet our minimum that we required for the sale of the property. And in addition, Jen and Tony and myself went down and walked through the building. The building is very, I'm gonna say, single-purpose use. It's not like a building you could buy and just put anything in there. It's a pole-type building. Has some deterioration due to the salt use in it, but pretty limited on what can be done with that structure. Now, the ground probably worth a little bit more maybe than the building is. I'm not sure about that, but probably a good time to go ahead and move it if we can get what we're supposed to get for it. I'd entertain a motion.
So moved.
Moved by Matt Meredith. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Mike Sprinkle to give the commissioners permission to go ahead and move forward with the sale of the salt building. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That's much better. 7-0. Thank you, Mr. Schwarzer-Truber. Okay, Chief Deputy Sturgis, talk to us about the radio update and county communications.
Right, good morning.
Good morning.
So I've heard back from a couple of the fire chiefs. They said most of their budget is spent this year, but maybe next year they could possibly get a few of the portable radios. Heard back from Montgomery. He spoke to his trustee, and his trustee was encouraging him to go reach out to some businesses. He was hesitant to do that because he has 2 fundraisers a year, and the businesses usually come through pretty strong for him during that. So just hesitant to go hit him up a 3rd time in the year. I spoke to Steve Walden with City and Dave Gray with Washington Township. Both of them had said they're going to be able to take care of their own departments. They have the resources to do it. They're going to be able to take care of their own. The JRAC committee, which oversees some of the opioid settlement money, they're going to contribute $55,000, I believe, of the unrestricted funds to this project. So with Walden and Gray handling their own, that will be able to go a little further among the other departments. But that's all I have right now. I've spoken to those 4. The others I've not heard back from just because I think they just know what their situation is. They're just the limited resources. But several of them have said instead of getting all what was recommended in that initial thing, they may just focus on getting a few portables every year.
Yeah, I think that's probably why.
Rather than working with the mobiles and things. So I think they're looking at it little by little. But the level of cooperation among the chiefs is great. They're really figuring out what's the best way to move forward with this.
Thank you, Steve. Just to kind of bring the council up to date, I don't know that we've actually talked extensively about it in here, but Tony and myself and Mike went to the
There's a
Regional Fire
just a
Chiefs
fire
meeting
chiefs meeting about a month ago.
in Plainville, and to discuss the enhanced communication system that we're working on. If you guys remember, it was about $600,000 for the county to do the infrastructure, is kind of what we were leaning towards, and it was about $265,000, I think, for the radios, to get 100% of the radios. But as we talked through that meeting, some people were gonna put it over like a 2 or 3 year thing, reduce the number of radios initially, and I think it's probably we're getting ready to go, I think.
I think we're getting close, yeah.
The one thing, Steve, that we need to still reach out and do, and I know we didn't get a firm commitment from, I can't remember the vendor's name.
Mike?
Yeah, Mike.
It's ECS, Mike Dyer.
I would like to get a little more of his skin in the game. I need a concession from him.
I've not heard back from him on any.
I haven't,
That's
you,
gonna
Nathan?
follow up with him, because there's no question he can lower his bid. It was pretty clear in that. It doesn't matter what the amount is, he can lower that bid some. And I know a lot of us weren't in that meeting that we had at Gale, but here are the differences between the radio quality with this new infrastructure and night and day. It's my personal opinion, I don't see why we'd want to buy the infrastructure without all the radios. Because if 10 people have those old radios, they don't have to upgrade, and then they're no further. So I guess, send me what you're missing, the dollar amount you're missing.
Okay.
The radios, and then we got some folks maybe we could.
Okay.
Because I just want to make sure, I know, hey, we'll replace 2 at a time, and then 8 years later, if they still have the static radio, I just hate to spend all this money, and we're getting really close.
The trustees from Madison Township assured me that they would be able to get the new radios. He said they already had several new radios, so
Yeah, I've not heard.
I don't know what his need was exactly.
Heard back from Odin. Eleonora, they just got some, 4 or 5 new radios last year. They should be good.
So put your uniform on and go out there and shake that vendor a little bit, and
All right.
we'll be ready to move forward, I think,
Turn
if
off
we
the
can.
camera, right?
Yeah. Thank you, Steve.
Getting tough down there.
Yeah. Okay, next item on the agenda is cash flow preparation proposal by Baker Tilly. So Jen and I met with Jason of Baker and Tilly to go over our financials. And we did the same thing about 3 or 4 years ago, I think. It must have been 3.5 because I was here already. And it's very helpful. And they go through the individual line items like, the sheriff's department, the security center, and make sure we're doing, funds are flowing in there correctly and out, so we can make good financial decisions. And we've had several big projects hit us since we did the last one. The first of all was, of course, this annex is being paid for now, or the government center, and we got the remodel project that we're under. And we've gone through the ARPA funds. There was a lot of, I'm gonna say, gray areas in there that can impact how our cash flow is working. And so this will be more of a, hey, this is where you're at today, and this is where we're going for in year by year in the future.
How many years out will they go?
Do you remember? 5, I think it was 5. Well, I don't know if it's in this thing or not.
Yep, and I'm guessing he gave us a price.
$15,000 to do it. It's the same price he gave us last time. We passed on it, if you don't remember, about a year ago, because we had a lot going on, and we wanted to get those things done before we had him do another
So it's gonna
projection.
be like our comprehensive plan, but it's not gonna be as deep of as dive. So that was around the $35,000 mark. And so this is just gonna really kind of hone in on some of it. It's not gonna be the full-blown comprehensive plan. It's gonna be a condensed version of it. So this, half the money for half the plan, basically, to try to get a good foundation of it.
Similar to what you were trying to do, Tony with that, and he had really, the thing that kind of alarmed us is he had some questions on how those numbers were being pulled for your sheet. He didn't know, actually, but his numbers were a little bit different than ours, a little
You
more.
didn't pay 15,000 for mine, though.
No, I know. We just gave you a pat on the back. But I actually think it's needed right now, for us with the past projects that we just completed, so we have a good idea where we're going in the future. So that's the proposal.
Having done that myself, and I forget, 5 years or something, and I look over there, because I got all the information from the ladies over there. Yeah, it's needed. You hate to throw, we just talked about 0.5% and $50,000, and here we're throwing 15. But we need to know where we're at, or where we're going. So I will make that recommendation, as I said, because of what I put together for the next 6 years. Yeah, I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, it wasn't as good as we wanted it to be, I can tell you that. Okay, the motion by Tony to spend the $15,000 with Baker and Tilly for a financial analysis.
I will second that. I worked with Tony on some of that, and, yeah, definitely it's warranted.
Seconded by Matt. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? 7-0.
You got a timeline?
Yes, July. He'll have it done by July 1st, so we'll have it for this budget season. Okay, next item is number 6, salary ordinance amendments with community corrections. You want to come up and talk to us a little bit, Laura?
Good morning.
So this is just basically a transfer out of the 100 series, out of our grant fund. Our screening coordinator, Francine, went down to part-time. So we're just taking the rest of what was in that budget line, or just moving it to part-time supervisors and Social Security to cover what I moved into part-time. So we'll just spend that down until it's gone, and then we'll move to the project income fund. So it's just a transfer in the same.
It's grant money, you're just moving around.
Yep, and that one I didn't need approval from the DOC to do because it was in the same series. So,
We don't need approval for the transfer, we just need approval for payroll on our salary ordinance.
because the part-time one goes up, but it's not really a salary on the part-time, but the amount, total amount just went up in that category.
So moved.
Moved by Tony,
Second.
second by Marilyn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? 7-0. Thank you, Laura. Okay, now we have some regular transfers that we need to do. Prosecutors 4D fund from computers to office supplies.
What about the commissioner's liability?
Did I miss one there? Additional appropriations, the commissioner's property liability, $30,644.48. I believe that's just, we changed carriers, was it? And the rate's gonna be a little bit higher than we had by that amount.
Move to approve.
Moved by Mike Myers. Is there a second? Second by Darren Holder. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? 7-0. Okay, additional transfers. We have prosecutors 4D. From computers to office supplies, $3,000.
So moved.
Moved by Mike Sprinkle, second.
Second.
Second by Matt. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Carried
I was like, yeah.
7-0. County Co-op Extension Services. We have from 4-H assistance to travel, mileage, lodging, $86. Then we have another one from office supplies to travel, mileage, and lodging, $70.
Move to approve.
Moved by Mike Sprinkle. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Tony Duncan. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Carried 7-0. Okay, In addition to that, we have some other information on number 9, Daviess Martin Joint Park Board, monthly meeting notes, Daviess County Airport. If anyone has any comments on these, we are welcome to do that. Daviess County Hospital, Daviess County Visitors Bureau, and the Lock Miller Group Odin West Street project. Any comments on any of those?
I want to step back just a minute to the fire radios. Aren't we supposed to, at our next meeting in June, have some more information? And can Mike maybe come up with a different quote or?
Just emailed Mike.
Okay, okay. Because at the meeting we went to, we asked for information to be here at our June meeting.
Yeah. Can you try to arrange that?
I emailed, you guys are all on the email. Get us.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Additional discussion? Anything from the public? And we're gonna leave our meeting open. Is that how it works?
I thought we.
Are we gonna
do? Okay.
for the joint meeting?
Chris, would you like to open the commissioner? Mind doing that for me? It's been a tradition for like 12 years. I hate to stop it now. On the spot. Yeah, we'll go ahead and call the commissioner meeting to order. We'll go ahead and start with it.
Okay, let's pray. Dear Lord, thank you for today. Thank you for beautiful weather. Thank you for these individuals that come before us, help make decisions on the betterment of our county with the employees and the taxpayers in mind. Just be with us throughout the rest of this meeting. Amen.
Chris?
Great.
You need. You move back. You go
We might
from
switch
here,
three of you,
yeah.
just so we can sign this.
Yeah.
There's 3 of you. Well, your turn right now. Wherever you can stay.
That phone ring, sitting there, tell him yes.
Okay, first up on the meeting, we've got the old salt building, public hearing and resolution. So the good news on this salt building is it's taken a few months to get it resolved, but we went from 65,000 to 95,000. So it all worked out fairly well. So grant, I believe we have a proposal. We have one bid of 95,000 that meets all the criteria. We've had the public meeting. So now the council has approved, so now it's just up for discussion by the commissioners.
Yeah. Now is the time and place for the second public hearing. We'll just open that for any comment at all. If there's no comments, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing.
Okay. Excellent.
Well, I've got a question on IC 36-1-11-3. It says that the fiscal body and all this hoops we're jumping through, it says the fiscal body of a political subdivision or agency if there's no executive. Aren't the commissioners the executive?
Yeah, three.
No, I've got it right here.
Okay. Got it right here.
But aren't we the executive?
You want me to read -3?
I'm asking a question. Aren't we the executive? It says if there's no executive, but aren't we considered the executive?
So at your April 23rd meeting in Alfredsville, talked about this for second or third time.
I'm just asking a simple question. Are we the executive or not? Okay. That's all I need to know.
Okay, if there's no other,
Yeah.
Under -3, it specifically says that fiscal body approves something if it's over $50,000.
But again, if you go back up, if there is no executive and we're the executive, doesn't matter. I just wanted to get straight on that in my mind. Is it right there?
Right here. Just add to the.
Is it material to the decision that we need to make today?
Yes, no, it's not.
Okay, okay, gotcha. If there's no other objection, I'll go ahead and entertain a motion to approve the $95,000 bid.
So moved.
A motion made by Commissioner Taylor. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Arnold. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
A motion passes 3-0.
Thanks, guys.
Hey, thanks, Grant, for all your work on that. And then there's a council page there on the back. You want us to go ahead and pass it around to the council? Next up, I asked Derek Whalen to be here for the, apparently we're renovating the courthouse or something, so. Oh, of course, of course. I'll-
Make a motion.
Okay, I would entertain a motion
So moved.
moved by Tony, seconded by Mac, to approve the salt building sale resolution. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Carries 7-0.
Okay, while they're signing that, Derek is one of our construction managers for Garmong. So he's been on board for several months. I'm helping Dale Riley on board. So we've been in contact multiple times per week. Most of them have been easy questions, so let's keep them coming.
Yeah,
But yeah, go ahead.
appreciate you having me this morning. Just a quick update. Demo's all done. 3rd floor, 2nd floor, 1st floor. It's completely gutted, so we're looking good on that front, keeping us on schedule there. As far as putback goes, metal stud framing's going on, electrical rough-ins going on, ductwork, HVAC, equipment's going up. Making good headway there. Like I said, maintaining the schedule, looking good there. April 17th, 2025 is substantial completion date. We're looking good on that front. Couple of things we got through, Indiana Department of Natural Resources got approval for the windows to be installed, so that was a big deal for the project, keep us moving. Couple of the next big things coming up this summer are the roof replacement and the stone renovation. There's a lot of cracks, things of that nature that need to be touched up as part of the project. So those are the next big things, get us through the summer. Site work will be starting soon as well. New site sanitary, upgrading that. Yeah, that's where we're at there. Dale Quackenbush with the IT department, he's been a major help for us, getting that squared away on the front end, much easier to do during the course of construction as opposed to when everybody's moving back into the building and trying to get stuff squared away there. As far as budget, we're on budget right now, doing well there. Construction contingency started out about $245,000 through a couple of value engineering exercises. The construction contingency has been able to increase to $542,233.76. So that bucket of money helps cover anything that comes up through the course of construction. Natural and construction world stuff comes up. Having that money there to help deal with that makes a big difference. So that's where we're at. Any questions?
No, I mean, obviously, just want to thank everyone for their help on those windows. I mean, that's about $170,000
Yep.
swing. I mean, the windows we're getting are $400,000 windows, so we're not getting, generic windows by any stretch. But Ashley from SHPO came down, and it was great. And they had a good meeting last Friday or Friday before, and so we were able to do it above board, so to speak. And now there's no anxiety of April 17th and then the covenant ends September 1st. So we had that bridge. So
And that window.
we had that window. And some of the department heads had asked about just taking a tour. So I thought it was great. If they want to go see it, great. I sort of asked them to keep their suggestions, maybe at bay until we start putting things back together, and having too many chiefs, at this point. But they want to go see what it looks like. It's neat. If you guys want to see it, 4 o'clock today, they're going to do a walkthrough with the clerk, and then each department head will schedule their own with Derek. So it's interesting.
What about the roof? Is the roof okay? I mean, I know we've gotten some grant money to do some stuff up there.
Well, in June is when they start peeling back those layers. Correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a few cracks underneath that we could see going up, but they didn't want to go peel the top back just yet because then what did they do with it? So it's come June is when they start peeling that top up in 4 quadrants, I believe.
Yeah, it'd be a phased process that way. I mean, you don't have the whole structure open below. There'll be new finishes going on, phase it out. That way it goes together pretty quick. So no issues outside, just needing to.
We're good with the historical
Yep.
aspects and all that.
Yeah.
And that skylight and all that stuff that we replaced about 9 years ago, that's all going to stay intact.
Everything's good on that.
Everything over the atrium's going to really be sort of untouched except for the roof. But I would think June's going to be the next rate limiting step. If they pull back all that stuff and if they see cracks from the top down, then we have to get some structural engineers in just to see what the integrity of it is. But right now, we've went through that exercise from the bottom up, and it came back sort of inconclusive. I would say, commissioners, wouldn't you say that?
Yeah, just minimal.
That was kind of our update.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, tickled to death with what DNR Hippo came down and said, because
That's good news.
he's very thorough at her job, just say. He looked at it and said, what'd they find out on the tent?
They can remove it. So she wanted us to keep, I'm sorry, we can keep it. She wanted us to remove the window tent because it was not of historical nature. So Lara went to investigate removing the tent, but all the HVAC and mechanical, the MEP was built based off window tent. And if they remove the window tent, they were gonna have to double the efficiency of the HVAC. So SHPO allowed us to keep the window tent. So, but yeah, Ron, good question. So right now, there's one, you can see out, there's one new window there. It's gonna be tweaked a little bit so that transom is the same terminology, bad, but the top part of the window is gonna be the same size as all the other windows, but the tent is on that new one.
And when she looked at it, she could tell a difference between what's there and what the new one was, but the thought process is when they're all replaced, there won't be any difference.
Right.
Yeah, big hurdle. One of those annoying hurdles where $150,000 to have a beveled putty line or a shadow
Shadow line, yeah.
line. Anyway, enough of that. Good update. Any questions, feel free to reach out. I'm trying to keep everyone in the loop without inundating them with emails, so if you hear anything, out, so. Commissioners, any other questions for Derek? Council? Good. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Derek. Okay, everyone should have received a copy of the April 23rd meeting minutes that we had down at the Offordsville Christian Church. We try to do at least 2, or now that we're out of COVID, we're trying to do a couple of remote meetings. So went south April 23rd, perhaps we'll go north perhaps in the fall if it works out. Maybe look at an October, November meeting. I thought it was okay. We had pretty good
Attendance, yeah.
15.
Good turnout.
I mean, half the town of Offordsville.
Nasty night.
So, yeah, it was rainy. So, any questions on the meeting minutes?
Yeah.
You have none? None.
I'll make a motion to approve.
A motion made by Commissioner Taylor. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Arnold. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
A motion passes 3-0. Okay, and on April 26th, we had an on-site inspection with SHPO to review the windows. So more than one commissioner was present, so this is just entering into the minutes of what occurred. I might entertain a motion to approve the April 26th meeting minutes to review the windows.
So moved.
A motion made by Commissioner Taylor. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Arnold. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. All right, Highway. Good morning, Chris.
Morning.
Wonderful prayer this morning. Thank you for that.
It's kind of short. I guess the award of the paint sprayer. We've been talking about it for a while. You guys took bids, open bids. I guess we had received one bid for $66,539.93 to purchase a paint sprayer to do lines on the pavement markings for the county. And Rich Graber, he looks into our equipment stuff, and he recommended that we would accept that bid to purchase that piece of equipment, to start being able to put our own lines down and add lines to roads that don't have lines and freshen up roads that the lines are faded.
And could you update us on what we're currently paying the outside vendor to do this for us?
Well, I didn't bring that information. I think we did Camelberg Road last year, and we actually paid DuBois County to do it, and I was thinking it was around $8,000. I don't even remember. I got quotes out, and it gets to be, depending on what kind of paint you use, it gets to be like 29 cents a mile just for the paint. Then you pay them the mobilize, and you pay them the labor. It was just,
Seemed like it was several $1,000s a mile to do the center lines, and then that same amount to do the white lines.
And Rich, I don't know if you've got any information, but the safety meeting, NDOT talked like they've got a grant specifically for paint.
Okay, good.
And that's, I mean, the timing couldn't be better.
yeah, to be able to purchase paint and get some safety grants to do that with NDOT. Putting pavement marking lines down is a big safety concern for them.
Because, I mean, I won't have the number exactly right, but it's around $5,000 a mile to pay someone to come in and paint those stripes, and maybe it's $3,000. The point is, with Camelberg Road and with, Offordsville Road and 1,000, north of these CCMG roads that we're doing, and then, Montgomery Road and Troy Road.
GPC road.
GPC Road, we're gonna have 10 to 20 mile a road that we're gonna be paying, say if it's 20 mile a road a year, we're gonna be paying $60,000 to $100,000 a year. And say I'm off by 100%. So for $66,000 one-time purchase, and we feel striped roads, and speak up, striped roads are a little safer to drive on. So the busiest paved roads, right, are gonna be the ones we look at first. Maybe we get to 50 miles, it won't be 200 miles, but we're thinking this in 3 or 4 years, well, in 1 or 2 years, this will pay for itself, pay for itself.
You've got several curves that'll be much safer too if you stripe them.
Perfect.
Don't have to do the whole road, but just the curves.
Just the curves.
Curves and intersection. I think when you said that number, I had it before when we talked about it, when we first decided to pursue it. I think the $5,000 he was talking about a mile or whatever sounds right, because we figured it up once, but I didn't bring it with me. I've had a busy week.
66,000 when we're in budget restraints, it's tough. But I think we're gonna pull from this bucket over here from these vendors that we're hiring, DuBois County and everything. So I think in 2 years, we're gonna have this money paid
Yeah,
down.
and DuBois County did us a favor. I mean, they don't
Yeah.
typically do out for hire, but they did us a favor by doing that, because the contractor that you get relying on the contractors too much. We had set up to do a couple roads, and they didn't do it 2 years in a row, basically. So then DuBois County kind of bailed us out, because I said, we've got to get lines down.
And it does make maintaining roads more expensive every time we go in Miller Road. Now we gotta add another. Now this will be our cost, just call it $1,000 a mile. I don't know why it will actually cost us to do it, but anyway, I think the commissioners felt it was worthwhile to pursue, so. It's in your budget, obviously.
Yeah, we actually budgeted pavement marking, and guardrail was some new items we budgeted for 2024.
All right, if there's no other questions, I entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
A motion made by Commissioner Taylor. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Arnold. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0.
Before we move on, you'd mentioned GPC, striping needs done, but that road needs upgraded as well. And at our last meeting with Jason Simler on the TIF money, there's money in the reserve fund that would allow them to go ahead and do that. And I would like to get him started if we could.
Like that. Sounds like a motion. So yeah, I think that sounds great. Cause yeah, I remember he did say.
Make a
that
motion to upgrade the road, Maysville Road GPC, back
Using,
to GPC. using the TIF revenue and the reserve fund.
Motion made by Commissioner Arnold. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Taylor. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0.
Yeah, thank you. We had talked about that a couple times with the,
I know there was at least 150,000 available, at least, in that fund,
yeah.
which was roughly about what we're gonna need.
Yeah, if we get some, just some contribution towards it, I didn't feel like it was, we get paid per center line mile, the county does. So it doesn't matter if the road's 5 foot wide or 105 foot wide, we get the same amount. So when the road constructed to GPC is a 50-foot road, and it's wore out, it needs milled off, it needs restriped, you know, it's gonna cost about $250,000 to do that 3/4 of a mile. We didn't think that should all come out of our everyday road maintenance money. It takes a big chunk out of our fund to do other roads, just to do that one section. So with the GPC TIF being in place and the reserve is where they found the money to contribute to that.
I had mentioned to Jason at the meeting that we thought it would be around 250. He talked like that wouldn't be a problem.
Good.
If it does go that high.
Yep, good. Excellent.
I got a couple other things. This one's not quite as good. I've got an amendment with the Lockmiller Group for mitigation monitoring on the Kennelberg Road. We've talked about it. This amendment is to raise it $6,700 for the last year, more than what the original contract was. And that's due to, we got 2 sites on that road that keep getting mowed off, and we had to replant trees the last 2 years. And we've talked to the Amish Safety Committee about it when Nathan was there, and we've confronted them about it, about the people that are mowing it off. When they constructed the Kennelberg Road 900 East, the first phase, whatever area you disturb, you have to put back in mitigation. And at that time, it had to be along that same corridor. So we got a couple spots on 550 North and 500 North that we've got to let trees grow out, basically. And some of the residents didn't like it, and they were mowing them back, but that's got to be in place for like 10 years. And it gets monitored by IDEM, and you're not allowed to cut it. You can't spray it. If it gets cut, we've got to put them back. So we bought trees last year for about $1,500, and trees this year for about $1,500. Now we've drove some steel posts in the ground and put some cables. So, you know, along with the signs, it's all been signed. So hopefully it doesn't happen again, and we can get through one more year of monitoring. But for them to come out and restake it, and we actually pushed the monitoring site back as far as we could. It's going to raise our contract with them to monitor it to $6,700 more.
What's happening, if the horse is getting to the stop sign, the driver is 10 feet back, can't see on the Kennelberg Road. So I don't want to, so it is an issue, so they're like, well, heck, we're just gonna brush it down, or if you're in a car, 4 feet in front of you. So it's just that traffic type.
Yeah,
So I'm glad you put T-posts and a cable down.
yeah, I mean, the traffic type doesn't help, but it's still, you know, you can still see, it was designed, you can still see from a horse and buggy, but I know a lot of them don't want to come to a complete stop and wait. And it doesn't matter what sight view distance is designed for. If a car is going 80 miles an hour on a county road, the sight view is never going to be long enough for them. The sight view and the speed limit on the road is adequate, but it's not adequate for the people that are breaking the law, basically. And so some of the guys went out there and cut trees down. We planted trees last year, and they cut them down. And we tried to get out of it.
Cutting them down?
No, not. They won't give us a name, but I think they addressed it after Nathan had a meeting with them to tell the guy not to do it no more. I think some people know, but I don't know a name. If so, I would give it to Gary, and he could deal with them. But
Put a fake video camera there on the T-post, like a deer cam.
we should.
Let's put a deer cam on that T-post.
But, so I've got a contract with them to get signed to raise that, and you know, we tried to move the site, and like IDEM, they don't care. I mean, this is where it was proposed, this is where it's planned, this is where it's gotta be, it can't be moved. It's gotta get through that 10-year cycle, then they quit monitoring it. That doesn't mean we can cut it down, but they're not gonna come look at it, so.
It's one to catch with the federal. I mean, we got 80% of that road, you know, $40 million,
Yes.
whatever. So if we can probably stomach a couple of trees here and there, but.
And you don't have to sign it today. I didn't send it to you guys in email, but I've got it here.
Let me ask the commissioners what their pleasure is. If you guys okay?
Yeah, I'd move forward with it, yeah.
Okay, entertain a motion to
So moved, yeah.
sign, motion made by Commissioner Taylor. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Arnold. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And motion passes 3-0. And as we're talking about traffic and all that stuff, we'll be having another Amish safety meeting probably in October. The buggy permit fees are going to have to be escalated dramatically. The vehicular motorists are paying about $354 a year based off the data that Chris pulled from NDOT. And then your excise, wheel tax, so right now we're doing $120, so it's gonna be $350 to $450 in order to even come close to maintaining
To get
those
a
hard
balance,
surface
yeah.
roads that we've put up there. I've really encouraged hard surfacing the busiest roads we've got. So we did that, and now they're lasting half the amount. So now they know they've got to pay for that. So want to kind of get that word out there. We'll be bringing it to the Amish Safety Committee. They've been great to work with, and especially when we show them the math behind it. So
Yeah.
I don't know why we set it at 60 a long time ago, but it's made it challenging to get it back
Yeah.
up. But you know,
I mean, it makes it hard to argue information and data when it's presented to them.
yeah, Chris has done an amazing job just showing them what we've got. So anyway, just an FYI, in case you hear any murmuring, that's what's going to be proposed. So
Couple project updates, just the roundabout on County Road 150 West and Old US 50. I've sent letters of interest out. NDOT's posted it on their website. They're gonna be due back anytime to pick a consultant to move forward with that project. That was a 90% federal, 10% us, maybe 100% federal. We won't know that till the very end. And that would be a 2029 construction date. And then the bridge, I've got a couple contracts here that I've signed. The bridge on that same corridor, the federal government administered through NDOT has given us 80% of the funds to rehabilitate that bridge that we took over. And I got 2 contracts I signed already. The commissioners had already agreed to them. I got one for Grant and one for Jen. Kind of goes along with the email that you guys sent out last week, Jen and Grant, about the money, tracking the money that we get from federal government. This was not a grant. I don't know if they're gonna give us the money or pay their bill, their half of it, or how that's gonna work out yet, but I did print these off to give to you guys.
while he's taking care of that, I mean, there hasn't necessarily been any official decision yet on that 150 Beer Can Alley intersection. There's this grant that 9010, according to NDOT, when they had that road, a roundabout was their safety solution. I'm a pharmacist, I don't know anything about civil engineering, but I personally didn't feel that that was a $3 million problem out there, because we've had 8 accidents from 3 different directions. So maybe a roundabout fixes all of them, but no deaths, no fatalities that I saw in the report.
There was a couple, but it's been a while. The guy on the motorcycle, the radio.
So there's been a couple in 15, 20 years, but then when we look at countywide, we've got some hot spots, and I just want to make sure that I'm clear with myself that we're not putting roundabouts at every dangerous intersection, because we'll have about 17 of them, and they're $3 million apiece.
Big issue with that intersection of turn road is exposed. Only look,
That's exactly right, but out of the 8 wrecks, that was 3 of them. The other one were coming westbound, and one was coming southbound, and then 3 or 4 were coming from that direction. But NDOT's been great, because they know they've given us this thing that's had issues, so this 90-10 is a hell of a deal. So if we can get a bridge, and then with the theory of maybe Washington continues to grow, they've got 2 roundabouts as bookends to both sides of their city. Futuristic, maybe then that blends in, and we can get it for.
We'll build our roundabout better though, so it don't, the pavement don't fail.
For safety reasons, NDOT would put a roundabout every place they have a problem. And
Well, the thing with our portion of the roundabout, if we pay, there is an issue with that intersection, the number of the crashes, but it's the severity of the crashes.
Yeah.
Because it's the, the side impacts. And, it was on their list to do. There's funds out there to do it. We talked about realigning the road, which we would have to buy property for and do it. And our contribution towards the fix is only $300,000. I say only,
Yeah.
but that's what it is. But we could not do anything on our own for less than that.
Yeah. So we do, just some housekeeping, we do have court at 10 a.m. in this room, so, but as you hear these grants, doesn't mean that everything's like finalized. So if we get the grant, we can have time to talk about it. If we don't get the grant, it doesn't mean we're moving forward, so.
We got the roundabout grant. The bridge was on there. Basically, that was one that we didn't apply for a grant. Just with some conversations I had with NDOT, they're gonna pay for 80% of rehabbing that bridge. And all the match money that the county's gonna use to match it is coming out of the relinquishment, the $2.5 million that we received from them. And then the last thing on here was the CCMG 2024-2 calling will be in July. We've got to see what projects, we got a whole list of projects, but we want to see which ones we want to pursue on that. I did get NDOT to close out the Montgomery Bridge, the Kendall J. Murphy Bridge, got them to close out that, so now we are eligible to apply for the new grant, and they raised it from $1 million to $1.5 million, which makes our match go up. But if we use that, apply for it for the old 50, we're getting a roundabout, we're getting a bridge, and we use that grant to upgrade that corridor from Washington's West Corporation limit to 300 West, then we can also pay our match out of the relinquished money that we got and have a whole new infrastructure going out that way. So,
Okay.
that was just some information.
Well, let's talk about that next highway meeting.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to spread it out countywide, but again, depending on the timing, maybe that makes sense, but.
And then I did have a comment, which I know we're running out of time, but I did want to make a comment on the wage committee if it's appropriate, if you guys would let me, or if you want to hear it another time.
Okay.
And I think I've got a good relationship with everybody, and I want to keep it that way. But I'm sure some things I say may aggravate people. I do appreciate the wage committee and their work. Sometimes I don't understand why we're going to have a wage committee and then we're going to come back in here and have such a difference. You know, if we've appointed a wage committee to do something, I would think that we should go close to their recommendation. And I know Mike had, his was far away from it, but then to pat you on the back, you seconded 3.5% after you had said a 3. So I appreciate that. When I went to the wage committee, I was thinking anywhere from a 3 to a 4. 3.5%, I'm very tickled at. You talked about the property assessments going up. That's actually a double-edged sword. That's why people are wanting more money for pay, because their property taxes and their life and everything is going up. I'm having a hard time getting employees, and we are not the private sector, and we don't generate money, but that we do lose our people to the private sector. And you talked about the department heads, the things that the department heads are required to do, the knowledge and the training, and then people, what we do now is more than what we've had to do 5 years ago, 10 years ago. You know, so I think the demand on department heads and their employees is greater and greater every year of what we've got to comply with federal government to be able to manage these funds and distribute them and comply, you know, and keep the county in compliance. And we do want to pride ourselves on having a good county and good employees, or good roads, good infrastructure. And I think that, you know, you do have to pay for that. Sometimes I wonder if I'm even qualified to do what I'm doing right now. Every year it seems like I'm required to do more and know more. So I don't see, when they're asking for more money, I don't necessarily see that being selfish. But I think the 3.5% is great. I'm tickled with the 3.5%. Like I said, when I said 3 to 4, I was hoping for a 3.5, you know, somewhere. But I think that the big gap in the conversation we have with the wage committee coming back with their recommendations, and sometimes I wonder why we have a wage committee, but I think it's better than, like Mike Myers said, it's better than somebody just spouting off something with no study either.
Right.
So just wanted to put my 2 cents, and then
Yeah.
the county highway, so our monies come from gas tax, so our employees are paid not out of the general, and our insurance is paid not out of the general. So, but we're still under that same cap with the 4%. So I don't know when you guys figure that up, you're figuring all employees wide.
Yeah, we'll definitely take that under
So,
advisement.
I just wanted to,
We have 18 minutes
Yeah.
that I've got to be out of here.
I knew when I got up here today, it wasn't
we appreciate
take
that.
long, but I wanted to put my 2 cents in. I wasn't to make anybody mad, but
No. We appreciate everything you do.
2 cents
For sure.
turned into 5, but that's all right.
All right.
Okay,
Thank you, Chris. Sorry, I'm getting pressured over here. Apparently, we got court, I don't know. So, okay, next up, Sheriff's Department grant request, and I'm sorry for rushing. It's 9:45 is when, we got plenty of time. We're good.
We're gonna apply for the marine boater safety that we do at Boggs, and then Operation Pullover. We've not participated in Operation Pullover for several years. I think the state has basically policied that to where it was pretty much impossible to work and comply. They've been calling around begging. They said they've changed some of their stuff. I don't know how much money is going to be involved with that because they haven't sliced the pie yet. But talked with the deputies, and several of them are interested in working it, so
Okay.
give it a shot.
What's the is grant amount, and is there a match, or?
There should not be a match on either grant, and the Operation Pullover,
Okay.
30 to 50, but that's over 30 to 50,000, but that's over 4 different blitzes throughout the year. And then the boater safety grant's usually about 7,500 to 10,000.
And the Operation Pullover is in North Daviess County?
Yeah.
I'll slow down then, right?
Okay. Sorry, we're on a time crunch. I know, Jim. I know.
I can make it anywhere you want to be.
What?
You want to do Albersville, you want to do Pennyville Road, we'll hang out there all day long.
Any questions, commissioners?
No.
I would though suggest 900 East if we're gonna do that.
Yeah, we wrote probably 70 tickets out there.
Yeah, it just,
And no
every
short.
time I'm on that road, I get passed, you know.
I know.
So,
I'll be
Me too,
honest,
but usually I'm
doing
not
55 on that road
it's
is
hard.
painful.
It is hard.
It is painful.
Anyway,
It's 45 though, not 55.
we can change that.
Right now, the big gripe is 100 there in front of County Highway, because you dropped that to 45.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I agree with, and then the other side's 55, and everybody thinks that should be 45 too, so.
Yeah. We got 2 grants before us, commissioners. If there's no questions, I'd entertain a motion to approve both.
Either one of them.
Okay, sounds like a
Yep,
motion by
so moved,
Commissioner
yeah.
Taylor. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Arnold. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
A motion passes 3-0. Thanks,
Thanks.
Sheriff. Okay, next up, we've got the JRAC opioid settlement
I
funds.
thought I'd save you time.
Yeah,
I'm
go
walking
ahead.
up here.
Thank you.
Yes, and then I added something on the agenda last night, last minute, because the state is very last minute sometimes, so.
Sure, what you got?
The first is our JRAC board met, it's probably been a few weeks ago, and came up with a proposal for the unrestricted funds for the county. We have not talked about proposals for the restricted funds yet. They have to follow those specific guidelines where that's gonna be a process. The unrestricted funds, we decided to focus on the most immediate needs of the county. So the proposal was approved by our board, and so I'm just bringing it to both, because I was gonna have to bring it to both council and commissioners to get this
Yeah, the council
approved.
commissioners serve on the JRAC committee. We got 15 years of funding. We'll know kind of a year in advance, or a few months in advance, what each bucket is. So this first year, we had to kind of act quickly, so we thought the radios would be a great one-hitter.
Yeah.
So, but these are the unrestricted, and you use it for anything, so are there any
They don't have to
questions?
follow guidelines for that, so we just thought
Yeah,
that would be the
entertain a
best for
motion to
now.
approve.
So moved.
A motion made by Commissioner Taylor. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Arnold. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right.
All right,
I'll
great.
submit the appropriations to
Yeah,
council.
great job to your team for putting this together, Laura. Let's go ahead and do that to be safe.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Saves time. The second one is, okay,
Okay, I would entertain a motion on the proposal for the opioid settlement funding. And it's unrestricted funds of $64,200. By Matt, seconded by Marilyn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 7-0.
Okay, great.
all right, thank you. All right, the second one is, a grant for the Justice Partners Addictions Response Grant. This would be the 6th year, of funding. They sent me an email just 2 days ago that there may be a 6th year available, and it's due by the 29th of this month. So they don't give us much, notice. So I'd like to apply for that again. I don't have the amount. It's just up to $60,000. Every year I've applied for it, I've gotten that full amount.
And there's no county match to that.
There's no county match, and,
Perfect.
um,
I'd entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Okay, motion made by Commissioner Taylor.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Arnold. All in favor?
All right.
thank you.
Motion passes 3-0. Thanks, Laura. Yeah, I know. This is gonna work out to your guys' benefit. Yeah. And Jeff, what'd he say? Chris?
Chris is talking so long.
Oh, ouch.
Can't really get Chris
I'll try to be
involved when he
quick.
does, he goes.
I'm not touching that one. Jeff,
I'll try to be quick.
good morning.
Good morning, thank you. Just bringing before you a new food permit, $100. It's for market events. This came about because the new farmer's market downtown. The only permits we have right now is a retail, which they wouldn't be able to get, a mobile, and that only applies to somebody that's in a trailer or truck, and then the temporary, which is $50 every time. That being, they would have to get a $50 permit every time they come down there. So this is basically $100 that covers them for every market they want to go to. It is tied specifically to that market, so if there was another market opened up or something, they would have to apply for that one as well. But it only covers them for that event. They can set up in a tent or whatever. Since that came about, we had to throw this in there just to,
That's an annual fee
it would be per market.
per market, but covers the.
Yeah, that covers that whole market timeframe.
Okay.
So it's in 1 year. Basically, we changed it to not just a market, but a market event. So if any organization has 3 or more events, somebody can apply for the same thing. It's going to save them at least $50 if they do 3 events.
Yeah, we had several back and forths, and just with the commons, and just good things, have some ripple effects that we gotta tweak, and the health department's just been great.
Yeah, and this is something may have to tweak later, but we need to get something going now so we can protect these people.
Yeah. Any questions? All right, I entertain a motion to approve the market food permit fee.
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Taylor. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Arnold. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you. Next up, we've got the SIDC, IHCDA, which is the Daviess County Housing Rehab Grant. They have implemented the first, part of this grant process. And now this is a de-obligation form to allow them to move to the next phase. These grants, they come in, they rehab some low to moderate income housing. There's federal dollars. They gotta get our approval. We don't read the nth degree of it, but then once they finish that process, they've got to do a de-obligation for whatever funds were remaining so that they can be released.
Start all over again.
That's
yeah.
kind of the best synopsis I can give you guys, so. If there's no other questions, I would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
A motion made by Commissioner Taylor. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Arnold. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Okay. All right. Next up, we've got the WTH Limited Agreement for the DNR GIS layer request. So WTH is the company that handles our GIS map, and as different entities request access.
Access to that, yeah.
So the and correct me if I'm wrong here, sometimes we get this kind of handed to us. So this is between DNR
WTH, yeah.
and WTH.
WTH and DNR for the GIS layer.
Yeah. So is there any questions,
No.
concerns?
I'll make a motion to approve it.
A motion made by Commissioner Taylor. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Arnold. All in favor, say aye.
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 A motion passes 3-0. Okay. Any other questions, any other discussions? Audience, commissioners, council? Okay. If not, I would entertain a motion.
Approve the single signature for
Yes.
later this month.
Next week, there is no commissioners' regular meeting,
Yes,
so
that's
we
right.
will send out the claims and, to all three commissioners, and then we'll just ask for an emotion so that Ron can officially sign off on those next week, after you guys see those.
Sounds great. I'd entertain that motion for that single signature for the week of April 14th.
So
or
moved.
May 14th.
May 14th, yeah, so moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Taylor. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Arnold. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. All right, last up, we got payroll claims, and to adjourn the meeting, I'd entertain a motion.
So moved.
A motion made by Commissioner Taylor. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Arnold. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any meetings adjourned. Council?
One order of business before we ask for adjournment. Joe Cable, who's our representative on the library board, has moved from the area, so he's no longer capable. I would ask Darren to, by the next meeting, see if you can identify a person maybe from the North Daviess area that you would like to put as our representative on that library. Thank you. I would entertain a motion for adjournment. Moved by Matt, second by Mike Sprinkle. All those in favor? Please stay, we've got a decent